Native Americans have kept their traditions alive for many years. The 12 federally recognized tribes here in Wisconsin continue to show preservation to their culture as it deserves to be seen, heard, and appreciated, providing a sense of continuity for future generations. We dive deeper with the preservation officer and the head chef of a feast and their connection to the natural world. Stick around to find out what feast this is and why it is important. This is Tribal Identities Life on the Reservation. Hello, and welcome to the show Tribal Identities Life on the Reservation. I'm your host, Alexis de Jesus, and I will take you guys along as we discuss the importance of keeping outdoor traditions alive in the Native American culture. One of the federally recognized tribes here is the Menominee Indian Tribe of Wisconsin. The Menominee people date back to over 10,000 years ago, having more than 10 million acres. However, throughout their treaties with the U.S. government, they've been reduced to 235,000 acres here in Keshena, Wisconsin, which is heavily forested and historically one of the most significant forests in the world. Chief Oshkosh was the chief in charge during the Treaty War. During a time when Native Americans were getting pushed out, he negotiated for the Menominee to stay on their land and not be relocated to Minnesota. He played a notable role in securing the 235,000 acre land as a permanent home for the Menominee people. The Menominee Cultural Museum here in Keshena holds significant pieces of history that dates back to thousands of years ago when Chief Oshkosh was their tribal leader. David Graham continues to keep traditions alive while also managing the preservation of the tribe's cultural and historic resources.
When we moved to this area, it was after the 1848 treaty was said that they were going to move us to Minnesota, and our chief said no. They wanted the rest of our lands, which we had to cede or sell to the U.S. government, of which we did. And and Chief Oshkosh was the leader at the time. They said, there's a piece of land on the Wolf River. It's known as a wilderness. Let me move my people there. Nobody wants to live there. Instead of moving to Minnesota. The reason why he wanted this land, because around us, immigrant Europeans were using the land, cutting the trees down for farming and stuff. But when we moved to this reservation, the wilderness they were talking about was the trees. And they said that, well, we don't have to cut all these trees down.
The Menominee practices a sustained yield approach, making sure that harvesting is done in a way that allows the forest to restore and provide a constant timber supply for future generations.
Chief Oshkosh said if we start on the left or on the eastern boundary of the reservation and cut the dead down timber for uses of making homes and that sort. By the time we get to the west end, western boundary would be time to start over. And that importance of keeping the forest the way it was, not cutting it all down, because the Menominees lived in the forest for thousands of years.
The Menominee people have a long history of sustaining their forests for over 150,000 years, making them a model for sustainable forestry practices with their approach studied by other organizations worldwide.
And that we didn't have to cut everything down because the forest is part of us part of our heritage, part of our culture, part of our traditions. Is in a manner of called sustainable forestry. And every 15 years the forest is cut, but it still looks the same. And that philosophy came from Chief Oshkosh to preserve the forest the way it was.
They were known for their reliance on water ice as it was a major food source. Men and women would go out in canoes on the lake and knock off kernels until the canoe was full. Once they got back to the land, the wild rice would then be dried or roasted over fire. It was harvested in the fall, and celebration and ceremony still happen to this day to give thanks for the reliance that wild rice provided.
Creator gave us two special gifts at the time of creation, wild rice and maple trees, and said that we would always have those, which we do today. Monoma is wild rice, and the surrounding tribes called us people of the wild rice because we always lived in areas where there was an abundance of rice. And it was said that wherever the Menominees were at, the wild rice was there. If we moved to a certain spot, the rice would move with us. And I think that's why we're known as people of the wild rice.
Alongside wild rice, they were also known for fishing. As spring starts approaching, so does the annual celebration of the sturgeon returning back to the Menominee Reservation. This tradition started centuries ago. Although there are a couple versions of the Menominee creation, they all include sturgeon. The sturgeon is an ancient fish, also known as the first fish or original fish. Lake sturgeon were a critical food course for the Menominee people, and each spring between late April and early June, when the water temperature started to rise, the great sturgeon migration would begin.
With sturgeon, that goes back again to the creation of our tribe. Was one of the first things the clans did was to harvest sturgeon on the Menominee River.
Sturgeons are large, bony fish characterized by their long bodies. They have bony plates, often called scutes, that run down their body in 5 rows, as well as their skeleton being primarily made of cartilage and not bone. This gives sturgeon a unique prehistoric look.
And it was said that after the first catch of sturgeon, there was a huge ceremony, singing and dancing, and that we tried to keep that going to this day.
In 1892, dams were constructed across the Wolf River below Shawano, hindering the movement of sturgeon to Kashina Falls. Without the Menominee people having any knowledge of it, this caused a huge cultural loss to the tribe. Kashina Falls is a place that is enriched in Menominee history and their traditions. The sturgeon that would come through the falls was a major reason why the Menominee chose their reservation site.
1892 to 1992, the sturgeon ceremony wasn't done. It was taken away from us at one point when the dams were built below us. But a group of Menominee got together in 1992 and said, we got to get this back. We got to revive that ceremony. And it's important to us to keep that going alive so the future generations will know what we did.
After the revitalization in 1992, the Menominee continued to negotiate with the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, who are responsible for regulating the fish and managing programs that ensures long-term sustainability. They're the ones that release sturgeon every year to the Menominee people so that their celebration can keep going.
So what we did was, when we got the first ceremonial sturgeon from the DNR, we had a sturgeon release at Chickeny Creek right by below Kashina Falls. And we had a elder that still remembered the sturgeon ceremony, which he did at the falls. He learned that from his grandparents, and he performed the ceremony. We still try to do that today, ceremony for the sturgeon.
Here in Kashina, Wisconsin is the 33rd Annual Sturgeon Feast, which celebrates the return of the sturgeon to the Menominee Reservation. The sturgeon play a huge part to the Menominee people as it's a vital part of their creation. The Sturgeon Feast is being held at the Menominee Nation High School. The celebration consists of a water walk, music, and dancing, as well as other cultural activities. A lot of preparation goes into this event, mostly in the kitchen preparing the feast. Wild plume is a fruit that is highly prioritized by Indigenous people, serving as a source for food, medicine, and spiritual beliefs. Head chef Micaiah Alloway's purpose is to bring back food made with Indigenous ingredients.
One of my inspirations to Wild Plume is to represent myself, represent all youth, Indigenous, male, female, and to uplift the community. So today I made braised buffalo, which is a Wild Plume specialty that we do. It's always asked for. And we also have smoked sturgeon, which is contributed by Medicine Fish Boys and the crew. And we also have wild rice. We also have roasted potatoes and carrots. We have a wojapi cheesecake mousse. And also we have for our beverages, cedar, strawberry, and apple water. I would say that it's like a full circle moment that we have with working with the sturgeon, along with working with us as humans, because it is a process from getting them to putting all the work and to finishing it to be cooked. It's a pretty big responsibility. Like this job is a lot at the end of the day. But again, I'm just a common person. All I like to say, and a kitchen is nothing without its cooks. And I couldn't do any of the work without anybody here. So my responsibility is always making sure, again, everybody is able to work in a clear mind, in a good heart, and to make sure that we're creating quality foods and healthy foods, because we pass a lot through our brains, all the way down to our fingertips, to our toes. So I feel like having a very wholesome spirit as you're working with the food, thinking good, having encouraging thoughts, being encouraging around you as well throughout the kitchen. I feel that what you think, how you feel, what you say gets put through the food. So I always like to make sure everybody has a clear mind, clear heart as they're coming in and working with the ingredients. And if they get a little, discouraged, or if, something might happen, it's okay to, go off for a walk, and cool down, get your mind together and come back into the kitchen so that you're able to have those good feelings and thoughts.
Medicine Fish is a new youth program that is focused on enhancing the quality of life for the youth through their cultural connection to Mother Nature. Having the youth help in the kitchen is essential, as it's helping them stay culturally connected.
Working alongside Medicine Fish is really fun, I would say, because it's always a family vibe that I feel like. It's really amazing how all the kids, how all the youth are all communicating with each other. It's also teaching them at the same time worth ethic. And if it isn't your thing, it teaches you a lot of patience. It's kind of giving them a glimpse of when they do become adults, and you just get tested in so many ways throughout the kitchen, and it's a humbling experience every event that we do. So every collaboration that we get to do is full of excitement. It's great to see all the youth boys working and having fun and doing what they love and learning, especially important things that young men should be learning.
Many believe that food is a source of medicine, and that sturgeon meat is high in protein and contains an oil that has omega-3 fatty acids.
110% it is medicine. You are what you eat, and I feel like food just, it affects you so much, you know? It's energy, it's sustainability throughout the day. For me, I would say that it's a part of revitalizing the culture as well. And even though it's just food, it's such an important aspect to our culture, I feel like.
Being considered to be the head chef of the feast is a huge, honorable task. For Micaiah, it meant being able to express herself and give back to her community.
So for the Sturgeon Feast, I feel the importance of this is that it's gathering all community together. And I love that. It's amazing to see all the youth, all the elders just around enjoying each other's company, the dancing. It's just, everything is all medicine here. We have the food and vendors, so it's just amazing how all these events just bring us all together, and we get to, you know, just as now, we get to meet one another and make connections and maybe learn something from somebody, no matter what it is.
Although David and Micaiah come from different paths, the urge to continue to remember where they come from and celebrate is, needless to say, a part of their life.
For the Menominees, we're indigenous to what is now Wisconsin, part of Upper Michigan. And it was important for the chiefs to keep us in our ancestral territory here on this reservation.
It's a big responsibility, like it's a huge responsibility, but at the same time it's such an honor because again, I get to represent who I am in my tribes that I all represent. So it's me giving back to my community as well, but also just, you know, having the utmost respect doing this as well. And again, having those good thoughts and feelings passing through.
And it's important for us to keep this reservation the way it is. We had several attempts by the government to acculturate and assimilate us. Several government opportunities that they thought could take the land from us, and we fought to keep it, which we did because we thought it was so important to live in the forest, which we do today.
Events like this one is what keeps traditions alive. The Menominee people still have hope that one day the sturgeon will be able to migrate naturally to Kashina Falls with the help of fish passageways.
It's been an honor to be able to witness and share these outdoor traditions being kept alive here on the Menominee Reservation. I'm your host, Alexis de Jesus, and this has been Tribal Identities, Life on the Reservation. Thanks for watching.